Hello and welcome to the Agenda on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. Where's my button? There's the button. Hello, I'm Graham Hughes, and I'm joined, as nearly always, by Phil Moorhouse. How you doing, Phil?
Hello, I'm
You
all right,
mate?
yes.
Yeah. Phil saw me on the screen. The first thing he said was, "Oh, bollocks," which was really funny.
Yeah, no, that's a true story.
And it's because he couldn't hear me, and it's because my mic was on mute, and he thought that it was his system wasn't working. It's always nice to meet someone and then get the first thing they say to you is, "Oh, bollocks." So big shout out to all our friends in the chat. We've got Chris in there. We've got One Angry Pagan. We've got Brett Wall. We've got Vendetta 900. We've got Simon Smith, Liam. We've got Unquiet Badger and Maggie. And also, who else have we got? Brett is in there as well. If you'd like to join our friends, Jenny, in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Well, give us a like first if you are already subscribed. If you are not, hit the subscribe button and give it... Oh, hello. Why is that not working? Why is my subscription animation not working? Oh, there you go. There you go. Give us a thumb up. Give us a subscribe. You can join the chat. And if you are subscribed, hit the bell notification icon so you know if we're doing any specials over December, which I'm sure we will. So, Phil, today we're going to be talking about the Russian inquiry that never happened. That could happen. That we should happen. Should it happen?
Well,
should it
which
happen?
inquiry?
Well,
like, what sort of inquiry?
We would like to know what the Russians did, particularly within the perimeters of looking at the Brexit referendum, which they were told to not look at when they had the original Russia inquiry that Boris Johnson famously tried to bury. We've had a full inquiry into Russian influence in UK politics petition, and that has surged past 100,000 signatures in just a few days. We've had Paul Mason, Nick Reeves, we've got Peter Jukes, Otto English, friends of ours, Russ Jones, Russian Cheshire, pushing for this. And this has been driven by Nathan Gill's conviction for taking money to push pro-Russian propaganda. And he's serving a 10-year, 10.5, 10 and a half year jail sentence. 10
years, yeah.
10 and a half years.
And that was after admitting guilt. It would have been much more if he'd not. Yeah,
but the 2020 ISC Russia report, it said that the state interference in Brexit was never investigated.
Yeah.
And also this week it's come out that, yes, it was an order direct from Putin himself to effectively murder Dawn Sturgis in Salisbury in 2018 with the Novichok nerve agents, which they were using to try and kill the Skripals because Putin wanted everyone to know it was him so that they wouldn't cross him. This is what I do. I go kill people in other countries. So why aren't Labour doing this? Why aren't Labour going hell for leather for a thing that will really trip up the Tories and will hopefully trip up the refuckers as well?
Well, first of all, I don't think they should be leaning into this tripping up the Tories anymore because it's not doing them any good. From their point of view, they'll think there are already now inquiries into Russian interference in all practical senses, like we had Operation Destabilise published quite recently, which is the way Russia is interfering. So in terms of Russia's interference right now, there are investigations going ahead, and people being arrested and so on. So what this is about is this is specifically an inquiry. I suppose from Labour's point of view, they'll think this would specifically be an inquiry into Russian interference in a specific thing that they don't want to talk very much about.
Do they not, though? Because this week's kicked off with Keir Starmer standing up and saying twice that Brexit has been really damaging to the economy in a way that he's been...
Yeah, but if they launch an inquiry, it's a political inquiry. It's not. It wouldn't be independent if they launch it.
What if the government...
If they launch it, it becomes a political witch hunt, doesn't it?
Why?
Because it's the Labour government trying to launch an inquiry that attacks Reform UK, their main rival.
Well, no, you don't say that, do you? You say it's an independent inquiry into Russian meddling because they murdered a British citizen on UK soil. No one's ever been taken to task for that. And they may have interfered in the Brexit referendum, but we don't know.
As soon as you bring Brexit in, it becomes a political witch hunt against Nigel Farage.
Yes. Okay, and that's
how it'll be portrayed. That's how it'll be betrayed.
But if it shows that Nigel Farage has actually taken money from the Russians and said things in the European Parliament,
but things like that should be done by things like that shouldn't be done by the government. That's a criminal matter. That should be done by the police. For all we know, it is actually carrying on. Like this Operation Destabilise, I didn't even know about it till it reported.
So what's the Operation Destabilise? Tell me more about that.
So this is the NCA have discovered how money is getting straight from our streets to the Kremlin via what they're doing is there's various low-level crime, drug running, stuff like that. And then they found the links that so the people collecting the cash for the drug deals go to someone else, and then they've tracked those people going to someone else, going through various Russian banks. And they've actually plotted the link between money being paid over for various crimes, not just drug deals, but including drug deals on Britain's streets directly to the Kremlin. And they've reported on this quite recently, these links. They've already arrested quite a few people in relation to it. So, and this the more I think about it, this investigate, although they did actually report something on it earlier this year, I just missed it. But the full report came out a couple of weeks ago or something. When was it? What was the date of this? Can't remember. But a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And on the link between money laundering, cybercrime, and actually crypto. They talked about how crypto is used. So once to launder the money. So what they did in this country is you would then get people using the cash collected to buy high value goods, which you can then sell, and then you convert that digital money then into crypto and bounce it around the world, and it ends up in Russia.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean,
banks
we've also got.
But that's the criminal side of it.
This guy in Thailand who's just given all this money to.
Yeah, exactly.
That crypto that he uses, that he owns a 12% stake in, is famously used by the Russians to get money out of the country without having to abide by.
Well, we know this. We've had an HCA report talking about the role of cryptocurrency
but when you talk
and money
about,
going from Britain to the Kremlin.
When you talk about a witch hunt, they say, oh, it's a witch hunt. Yeah, so what? First of all, so what? But secondly, isn't the COVID inquiry a witch hunt? Labour weren't in charge at the time, and they're finding all these terrible things that the Tories had done.
Conservatives launched it.
So we'd only get an inquiry into Brexit referendum meddling if Brexit.
There is really no value in a Brexit referendum inquiry.
Really?
I do agree that there should be another parliamentary investigation. There should be an ongoing parliamentary investigations into political interference by China and Russia.
Yes.
But specifically the Brexit referendum, there's zero value. Actually, it makes it harder. It makes it harder to reverse Brexit because it just makes it. Because it literally just makes it like a political witch hunt against Farage, which he will just be more than happy to talk about it. A failing Labour government. Oh, they're scared of us coming to power. Now they launched this investigation again just to try and smear me, just like all these racism
Why would it
claims.
smear him if it's an investigation into Russia? Like, what's it got to do with him?
As soon as you... Okay, so you just want an investigation into Russian interference.
Russian immigration, NATO, UK
so you don't
unity,
want them to investigate.
bot
So
farms.
the terms of the inquiry wouldn't include the Brexit referendum.
No, they could say Russian interference from 2015 to now.
No,
there you go.
As soon as you do, no, you have to set the terms of reference for whoever's conducting the inquiry.
2015 to now. Let's see what they've done.
No, because that's too general. You'd have to specify what they're supposed to look for. You've got to specify
Russian interference. I mean, surely
that's not specific enough. Russian interference in what you've got to define
in our political, our democracy.
As soon as you say the Brexit referendum, it becomes a political.
Don't put that in there. Don't put that in the headline.
Then they won't investigate it.
Why not?
They won't
they're told by government to investigate what Russia meddling from their bot farms, from their dodgy donations, which they've given to Nathan Gill and possibly others. That's what we're investigating. See if there's any more.
What they will investigate is what they're doing now, not 10 years ago.
But what they're doing now isn't being publicised. We don't know anything about it.
No, that's fine. 100%. There should be an investigation into what they're doing right now,
and that should be done by the NCA.
Well, no, they are doing it. We know they're doing it. We know they're already doing that, but what you could be arguing here, what that petition, I don't actually know what that petition is asking for, but it could be asking, it's quite vague, but it could be asking for a parliamentary investigation that Parliament, we should really have like a parliamentary committee. We've already got a Security and Defence Committee, don't we? So they could just every year produce a report on the state of progress countering Russian interference. You could do that every year, and that meets that requirement. That's then a parliamentary investigation taking place on a rolling level.
Is that the DCMS fake news committee? Is that one, or is that something else? They've reported that there is extensive disinformation activity by Kremlin-led or Kremlin-linked actors, but it didn't address political finance. It didn't address, other ways.
Well, that's up to them, though. That's got nothing to do with the government.
Democracy.
That's nothing to do with the government, though.
I don't really get the connection between, we find the smoking gun that says that the Russians gave Nigel Farage a load of money to back Brexit.
But that's what your starting position is.
For us?
Your starting position.
No, if they find it.
No, but they won't
do it anyway
unless you tell them to look for it. You are trying to be like Theresa May. Theresa May said to the security authorities, if I'm asked in Parliament, if I've seen evidence of Russian interference, I want to be able to say no, so don't show me any. Right? Yes. That's what she said. You're trying to argue the same thing. If you do not tell them to look for a thing, they will not find evidence of it because they're not looking for it.
They'll find Russian interference.
There's
whether
two,
it happened in 2015 or
types
2022,
of investigation
doesn't
here.
matter.
There's two types of investigation here possible. One is investigation by the security services according to what their own estimation of security threats. So as long as the government aren't blocking that now, which is the case, we can see that.
Well,
even
Brexit,
the Tories under Sunak looks like they weren't blocking it. So as long as the government aren't blocking it, they will carry on, and they will be underway. There's investigations we won't even know about now until they report on it, like this Operation Destabilise. Your second type of investigation is politically assigned. As soon as that happens, that's a political investigation. Doesn't matter if you give an independent former judge the job. It's a political investigation, and you are the one who publicly sets the parameters. They will only
any Russian interference
tell them to investigate.
any Russian activity in the UK, whether that's bribing councillors, whether that's compromat material, whether that's bot farms, whatever. Let's find out what they've been doing.
That is not how any inquiry.
And the target's
ever works.
Russia. It's not Farage. It's not the Brexit referendum. It's Russia.
You're trying to get a former judge and nudge, wink, wink, tell them to investigate Farage without saying so publicly. That won't happen. Will never happen.
So they're never, ever going to investigate the Russian interference, possible Russian interference. We don't know because it was never investigated. Specifically,
there might be a criminal investigation.
Singled out in the 2020 report as we didn't look at this because the government at the time told us not to look at it. So we don't know.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it now for the end of time.
Well, unless there's a criminal investigation taking place right now, which we do not know about.
Doubt it. So people I've spoken to who are in...
Hang on a minute. You say doubt it. How was Nathan Gill convicted?
I guess
there was an investigation.
Yeah, I guess there was an investigation.
But was that
generally into Russian interference?
No, they just found evidence.
Yeah,
they found evidence that he'd taken bribes. He was a little bit careless. It has to be said.
That's a good question. Who was it who brought that? Was that the NCA that brought that against him? Because I don't think it was MI5 or MI6.
Investigation.
It was a police investigation. So it wasn't the National Crime Agency. Because
I don't know what
from what I've been told, and whatever, it might not be true, but the government for many years told the security forces in this country, MI5, MI6, the intelligence agencies, to concentrate on Islamic terrorists and to ignore everything else. It just wasn't looked into.
Even though the police said the opposite.
What the police said? That the problem was Russia.
when Prevent was set up, so I was a teacher, which meant I had training on it because one of the strands of Prevent is that teachers are supposed to report concerns, right? So we needed training on how to recognise those concerns. So we had the police come in on a regular basis to do our Prevent training. Every time we had our Prevent training, I'm in the North Midlands, the police training us were very clear to us. They said to us, Islamic terrorism ain't a thing here. Specifically in our part of the country, right? They said the threat around here is far right terrorism.
Yeah.
And they were very clear about that. And that was while Theresa May was Prime Minister and then later Boris Johnson. Although when Boris Johnson became Prime Minister, that's when I was on my way out and going to become a full-time gobshite. But nonetheless, so, when I was having that training, the police were very, very... So the police weren't talking to us about Islamic terrorism. They talked about something like, in general, there are some things that you're taught about, like signs of forced marriage, stuff like that. But by and large, we were being trained in spotting the signs of far-right extremism.
Right. Well, one of the things that happened over the summer, which didn't get much reporting, it was in bylines, was about the European Court of Human Rights ruled in July that the UK hadn't breached voters' rights by refusing to investigate interference. This claim was brought by Ben Bradshaw, by Caroline Lucas and Alan Smith. Now, the court accepted the UK government's claim that existing reports, the 2020 reports, were sufficient, despite the fact that those reports, the 2020 report, explicitly called for further investigation. And especially in the context of Brexit, whereas it made a point of saying we weren't allowed to look at Brexit and that vote and what happened all around that.
But MPs can still do that. There's a difference between the government and Parliament. Parliament can do that. If Parliament wants to do that, it can do. If an appropriate select committee wants to do that, it's entirely up to it to do that.
So we could have a select committee commissioning a report.
They can do what they like.
Because the thing is, Phil, it's still going on today. There is so much Russian bullshit absolutely flooding people's social media every single day, and we're getting no protection against it.
If the government were to launch an investigation into how Russia is interfering with our politics today, they could do that. But you want them to do it into interference of something that happened 10 years ago,
that would be a
which would actually undermine the whole investigation.
Why would it undermine it? I don't understand.
Because I've just explained to you. Because as soon as you make it about the Brexit referendum, it becomes...
do you?
You just said either they're going to investigate it or they're not. They're not going to investigate it, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, right? They will investigate what you explicitly tell them to investigate.
Russian interference in British democracy.
That's not explicit. That could be anything, right?
There's only so many ways you could... There's a finite number of ways you can interfere.
There is no way... There's no way a former judge is going to investigate something that happened 10 years ago without you telling them to.
So they'll just ignore everything to... When do they start then? What's the start date?
Whatever you tell them the start date is, but if you tell them the start date's 2015, Farage will straight be on it. Again, anything at all that even hints at the fact that this investigation is into him, it will instantly, and the media will back him up, it will instantly be failing government, can't win the next election on its own, so it's trying dirty tricks. It instantly becomes.
We've got the petition. Call a public inquiry into Russian interference on UK politics and democracy. There's no start date. It's just that's it.
So the government launched an inquiry that says let's look at Russian political interference or Russian interference into parliamentary procedures now.
Well, not just parliamentary procedures, but
doesn't cover 10 years ago.
Well, why can't it? I mean,
why would it? I've just told you why it can't.
So we have this inquiry, independent inquiry, and it comes out that there's a smoking gun linking Farage. A load of his mates have already been linked to Russia. He was on Russia Today. He got paid 60 grand to go on Russia Today every other day and spout Kremlin lines that were very close to what Nathan Gill said. You think that if we get that smoking gun through this investigation...
You will not get the smoking gun for two reasons. First of all, we do not know that Farage seems quite clever and careful, right? Remember, you try and find me a photo of Nigel Farage with Boris Johnson, for example. There's one in existence, and it's Boris Johnson's arse on the photo, right?
What is that?
So, no, he's real arse. He actually can't see the arse in front of his face because he's got his back to the camera. That is it. That is how careful Nigel Farage is. You will not really find photos of him with certain people. And so it's very, very likely he's been extremely careful. Like, for example, we know of that 2 years ago when Nat West, like Coots, were wanting to drop him. We know why that was, because he was considered politically risky. They said so themselves. What does that mean? They can't be certain that some of the money going through that account ain't come from Russia, right?
Yeah.
But they couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
Why not? Because he's dealing in crypto, right? Yeah. He will have been extremely careful. So there's a very good chance that there will be zero evidence tying him to it, right?
Okay, well,
if there
is, Phil.
I haven't finished.
Go on.
But secondly, so we cannot even guarantee that there is. And if there isn't, it's a political shit show because it looks like a politically driven thing.
Better. That's better.
No, it's not. It's worse.
First of all, we've had a proper investigation and we found that there was no smoking gun for Nigel Farage. He's got nothing to worry about. Why was he making such a fuss about it when we started this inquiry? When
they will say
if he's got nothing to hide, he's got nothing to fear.
No. You cannot have a political investigation into someone. That is what authoritarian.
No, it's not. It's an investigation into Russia.
No, it's not.
If it gets him if he gets caught in the crossfire Collateral damage. Oh well, never mind.
He will not unless you specifically ask them to investigate. It's really this simple. You cannot just say,
is that not specific enough?
They'll do it. Sorry?
They're not saying investigate Russia. It says on the petition, call a public inquiry into Russian influence on UK politics and democracy. Right. I can't imagine that they'll be given that brief.
You are changing that.
Imagine, no, that's the title. That's the title of the thing.
No, it's not.
I can't believe that they'll take that and they'll go, okay, well, we're just going to look at it from today.
Okay.
I'm sure they will look at historic cases. I'm sure they'll look back.
No, not without telling someone.
20 years.
No judge running a public inquiry is going to investigate anything they've not been asked to do.
Okay.
Sometimes.
20 years. There you go. The last 20 years. Go back to 2005.
All right.
And see what Russia was
20 years, right? Yeah. How long's the COVID inquiry been going on?
About 3 years now, yeah.
About 3 years now. How long has it got to run?
Another 3 years or something.
Probably another 3 years before it reports, right? What period is that covering?
That's covering first of all, it is covering the COVID from I think 20 March. No, it's before March, isn't it? Because it's covering the fact that he missed the Cobra meetings.
Yeah.
So it's 2 years.
It's about a year and a half, right?
Because you got the COVID contracts as well.
It's about a year and a half they're covering, and it's probably going to take 6 or 7 years before it's done.
Yeah.
How long do you think a fucking 20-year investigation?
6 or 7 years. Because in some ways it's a bigger thing, but in other ways it's a smaller thing, isn't it?
No, if you tell them to do that, first of all, right, the COVID inquiry is much easier than this broad Russian investigation that you want to capture everything, right? Because there's only so many people involved. They only have to. They know exactly what they're investigating. They know exactly where it is. You are suggesting they investigate things they do not even know happened. It'll take much longer. You're talking about a 30-year bloody public inquiry. You cannot just say things like that. There is, Graham, what I'm trying to tell you is there is absolutely zero way of getting a public inquiry into the Brexit referendum without explicitly saying investigate Russian interference in the Brexit referendum. And at that point, you will be lambasted as a failing government that is now trying to pull every dirty trick it can to smear its opponents. That is exactly how it will be presented. That is how it will be almost universally presented by the media.
But
as
surely the comeback for that is, but hang on, we're investigating Russia, not you.
No.
And so do you think it would take 6 years to investigate Russian interference just into Brexit?
Just into Brexit, no. But again, as soon as you do that, you lose credibility.
They'll look at 2005 and they'll go, okay, we can't find any evidence, so there's nothing to investigate. Graham. 2006, no evidence, nothing to investigate.
There has been investigation.
2008,
there's been Russian interference in this country for a very long time.
How do you know? He's not having the proper investigation.
No, we have had investigations.
Pick it up from the 2020 then. Pick it up from the 2020 one. Say, right, they laid the foundations. They say in that specifically there needs to be more investigations into this. They say that in the report.
They can do it. So why don't they do it?
What do you mean? This is what we're saying.
Not to do with the government.
Call for the inquiry. People love an inquiry. We've got one into the postmasters. We've got one into Tainted Blood. We've got into Hillsborough. We've got one into.
But you're just mentioning the Select Committee's inquiry. Why doesn't the Select Committee do it?
Well, I suppose they can. Then I'm sure that this petition is a good way of saying we are investigating Russian interference since they stopped looking at it in 2016 to now.
But you're talking about the government doing something.
Well, they have to commission the report, don't they?
No, they don't.
If it's an independent
a Select Committee inquiry is commissioned by the Select Committee.
And can they be independent?
They're totally separate. They have nothing to do with the government. The Select Committees exist to scrutinise the government.
So the Select Committee, was it a Select Committee that put the COVID inquiry into
No, that was the
motion?
Government. Because that's a government inquiry.
Okay, but it's independent, isn't it?
It's independently run. Yeah. But it's not. But the guidelines are set by the government.
Okay.
Sometimes you do get people who run a public inquiry who sometimes complain about the guidance, but then it's up to them whether they take it or they don't have to.
Right.
But
I'm not
the
following.
Government set the parameters for it. But I'll tell you another thing.
I've got a super chat before you tell me another thing. I've got a super chat from half an hour ago. Thank you very much to SG. Tell Fogarge, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Yes, SG.
No. The
no.
The other thing to I mean, the other thing to consider about this is if you did have, I don't want to muddy the waters too much because I haven't finished on the other points, but if you did have an investigation into Russian interference
Yes.
in specifically in 2016, right? What else will it uncover? And we know it will. What big thing that will blow up in our faces will it uncover? 2016, what happened? Russian interference.
Russian interference.
What else did they interfere in?
The Brexit referendum.
No,
but we don't know that because no one's
referendum.
investigated it.
We do know
told
that.
Specifically not to investigate it.
We do know that. What else did they interfere in? Because we know they interfered in the Brexit referendum because there was an investigation and it did report, just not in this country.
Was it the Labour leadership election?
No, there was no Labour leadership election in 2016.
Yes, there was, wasn't there?
No,
yeah, there was. There was two. Yeah, there was that one, and then there was another one, wasn't there? The year after.
Yeah, that was just silliness.
But they just larks. Us members were supposed to vote.
That was just
still had a vote. But yeah, 2016 World Cup, was it? No, the Olympics. The Olympics.
Trump.
Oh yeah,
there has been an investigation into Russian interference in the Brexit referendum. It has actually taken place, just not in this country. America did it and reported on it. Because what they were investigating was Russian interference in the presidential election, and they uncovered Russian interference in the Brexit referendum. So an investigation into Russian interference in the Brexit referendum will also uncover Russian interference into the presidential election, because it's the same people.
Yes. Same Cambridge Analytica.
That will be a diplomatic shit show in the current climate.
So there's never ever going to be.
So what you're arguing is
an investigation.
You're arguing for this thing that will be billed in the British media as a desperate government trying to smear the incoming government, which also then undermines all the other accusations against them, because some people start to think, oh, if the government is smearing them about this, maybe they're also smearing them about the racism claims. So you instantly undermine loads of other accusations. At the end of it, you may find nothing, and if you do, it'll report back too late for the election, right? Actually, it won't report back at all, because if it's too late for the election and the election goes south, then the investigation will be instantly cancelled. Waste of money will be. We're saving money. Saving money.
Like, I'd like to have an investigation into Russian interference.
I dare say you would.
Political financing, the think tank funding, electoral interference, cyber intrusions, the social media bot farms, the donor networks linked to Russian oligarchs, the UK-based enablers, the PR firms, the consultancies, the media personalities. I would like an inquiry into all that.
Okay.
If it ends up with Farage looking bad, oh well, never mind.
It won't end up with Farage looking bad.
Whatever. But I'd like that anyway. Whether Farage looks bad or not, okay. I'm wanting to, and there are a lot of people who want that as well.
If you get this, you increase the chance of Reform UK winning the next election, because Trump will be implicated in it. He does not want any more investigations into him. He's trying to put in prison the person who investigated
on the
him
UK.
Before.
It's about the UK. It's the UK democracy interference.
Graham, how do you focus a Russian investigation on the UK?
Because it's UK that
investigate Russia, you have to investigate Russia.
In the petition, it says in the Russian interference in UK democracy, in our democracy, not America.
The petition, the wording in the petition was come up by a person, right? It's not.
Yes.
The government don't just take the position and give it to a judge and say, do that.
I know.
Right?
I know.
That's not enough.
But you're asking what
what's happening, right?
If that original investigation in 2010, right? 2020, that original investigation was told not to look at Brexit, literally not told.
No, they weren't
so
told to look.
Then this one can be told not to look at Trump.
No.
Why not?
They can't, because it's the same people. It's like trying to go into a room to look at a thing, but not look at another part of the room. It's the same people. No, it's the same operation.
If someone's a murderer and they've killed someone in your country, you're not going to investigate them for murdering someone in someone else's country.
No, it's not a completely different situation. You're talking about two different murders. This is the same murder, right? This is like, if you want to do a murder analogy, this is like someone being murdered by two people, but telling the police only to investigate one of the suspects, right? It's the same people. The Russian interference in the Brexit referendum in 2016 was the same operation as the interference in the presidential election. It's the same operation with the same people, with the same organisations, with the same money going to the same people.
So will it be implicating American interference in our system then? Or is it
We
just gonna
will
be
have
Russian?
American interference in our system if you try and launch this investigation. But
But if-
what I'm saying is there will be. Trump does not want an investigation into him, and there's no way of firewalling him. And
Yeah,
also,
that's fine.
the other,
Just
no,
say
no, it's not fine.
Make
Graham,
make
it's
the
not fine.
remit and be easier for you as well, because you don't want
You are
a
literally
27-year
arguing.
investigation.
You are
just
literally-
say this is for UK democracy. What are the Russians doing? I gave you a list of things there. Look at the think tanks. Look at the influence. Look at the
That's
TV
fine.
shows that they bought.
And they
look at the
and I'm
personalities
telling
on
you,
TV.
if you ask a judge to do that, they will investigate in the here and now, not 10 years ago.
Why not? They had a
Because
Hillsborough
there's not when
investigation.
been
That
asked
was
to do.
30 years ago. 36
You either
years
ask
ago.
them to do. You either ask them to look at Russian interference today, or you ask them to look at Russian interference 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, whatever.
Carry on for the last report. We had a report that came in 2020 that went up to 2015. Found out that the Russians interfered in the Scottish referendum of 2014 and the general election of 2015. So continue it from there onwards, like
Then
it
it'll
said
take
in that report.
Then what will happen is
That report
we're
didn't
going
take
around in
forever.
circles, Graham. Instantly, what will happen is Donald Trump will flip his lid. Right? He's not going to allow
you're
it.
not going to talk
You
to
can't.
him.
Right, Graham. Listen. Can you actually listen? First of all, you cannot do that. It's physically impossible to linguistically do that because it's the same murder in your analogy. It's the same murder.
No, it's different murders committed in different countries
No, it's not.
by the same murderer.
No, it's not. It's the same
So
operation. We know that.
doing for the murders
We've
he
known
committed
this from
here.
Carol Cadwallader's work from 2017.
The murderers
And we
in
also know it
Salisbury.
from the Mueller
We're not
report.
investigating their murders that they may have committed in
It's
Chechnya.
oh, God.
Like, why
It's
would
the
we?
Same, because Graham, this investigation has already taken place. There's a report. You can read it.
Yes,
It was
to
just
20
done by the Americans. It's the same thing.
I mean the British one. We
No,
had one up to
it's the same
2015.
thing.
We had one
It's
up to
the s-
2015,
Graham,
and then it stopped.
We've got the investigation. It's already happened. It's just not official in this country, but it has happened. It's the same thing.
Why?
You can read
no,
it.
it's not.
It
No, it's
is
not
the
at
same
all.
thing. It's exactly the
It's
same
not.
thing.
That is America centric. They don't give a fuck about us.
No, it's not.
We hardly get mentioned in it at all.
It's what are you on about? There's an entire section on it.
On Brexit in the UK,
Yes.
in the American report that went through
Yes.
Congress. I didn't even
Yes.
know there was a section on Brexit. Was that because it was a
Yes.
precursor to Trump getting?
It was the trial run for the presidential election.
Okay, well
The interference that was conducted into the Brexit referendum.
That's
They
fantastic
were doing
news.
that,
That
as
means
the petri dish specifically because
this
they
is
were
great news.
working. Huh?
this is great news because we can use the findings from that report and it'll make our report a lot quicker.
No, it won't. There won't be a
It won't
report
end up taking 40
because
years.
Trump doesn't want there to be a report. And before you interrupt again, can I also just point out, if you could come up with some way of firewalling Trump, which you cannot, he wants to protect Farage. Farage is his mate, right? He wants Farage to be prime minister. You know how Trump behaves if he doesn't like what a government's doing. The reason why we can't, like a year ago, well, not a year ago now, it's a year and a bit ago now, Labour were talking about tightening up the Online Safety Act because they were saying this isn't going to do enough, right? We're going to have to. That's gone away. Where's that gone? The EU, same thing. They're much more powerful. They've been watering down. They were going to be tightening up control of the online space as well. So that's gone. That's gone. And why has it gone? Because Trump could cause a lot of damage. Trump can basically cost a government it's the next election.
So you think if we have an investigation into Russian interference from 2015 onwards to continue the report that we already had, and we copy the homework from the Americans, that Trump is going to put tariffs on us and make our lives a misery?
No, what I'm saying to you is, if you have
that's
an
a valid
investigation,
argument.
are you listening? If you have an investigation into Russian interference with those broad terms you say, it cannot possibly report before 2029. It'll take far too long.
Fine.
And that means it will never report because you will put in chain a sequence of events, which means that Trump and Farage and the media will all attack Labour for failing and flailing about trying to smear his rival. They will lose the next election. Farage will be more likely to become prime minister, and as a result of that, the investigation will then be cancelled from day one.
I would be absolutely astounded.
Nigel Farage will come in day one and say, I've come in promising to cut waste. All this bollocks is absolute waste.
Yeah, which is what Trump
It's
did
just
to
a
the
witch hunt against me.
investigations into him.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what will happen. and you will never see it.
But if the Americans have done half our homework for us, we can just copy that, can't we?
All you will see, a select committee can do that. Don't need the government.
Would you do this through a select committee then? A select committee investigation?
Can do whatever they like.
And that would be a cross-party
select
committee. The Tories hate refuck as well. Well, some of them do. So
yeah, but they're also implicated.
Oh, so they're not going to go for it. So we're not going to get one from a select committee then.
No. But they're not. The bottom line is, someone just said, I don't like people disagreeing with me. I love people disagreeing with me, but it's got to make sense.
Hang on, just before we go on, too much mushrooms. Thank you very much. Too much mushrooms for the £5 super chat. I wouldn't be surprised at the Russian involvement in your party as well, given how Zoltana seems to not criticise Russia as much. Yes, that is.
And that's true. Just tanky. No, that's just tanky stuff. They don't need to fund them.
Somebody said this week, which I really liked, that they're glad that your party exists because all the fucking tanky dickheads who ruin things for Labour and the Greens and Plaid Cymru and the SNP and any other moderately left-leaning party by just clogging up things with their ineptitude have all fucked off to your party now, so we don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, but we do because they're going to take votes.
David, thank you very much for the $5 Hong Kongian dollars. The Greens and Zach have an anti-NATO position. I think Zach Polanski's take on NATO is, it's not the world that how I'd want it to be, but it's the world that it is.
I won't make excuses for him.
But
he's specifically said as Green Party leader. He specifically said as Green Party leader, he's backed the notion of not supporting Ukraine.
So Dark 4x4, thank you very much for the £2. Mummy and Daddy are fighting again. Oh, thanks, Dark, for that super chat. If anyone else wants to drop a super chat in, by the way, you've got 27 minutes to drop 2 more in, and we get confetti. Yay! So when it comes down to it, you don't think that having an investigation would help Labour or the government or our democracy?
An investigation right now. An investigation into interference right now. Yeah.
What about our democracy, though? Because they are interfering.
Yeah, because that's right. That's the threat right now. The what's happened 10 years ago has happened, right? You're not going to improve anything. You are actually going to weaken democracy if you try and do what you say, because you give an easy line for Nigel Farage to claim that because it will be really easy to see this as a political witch hunt, therefore he gets to say all of the accusations against him are like Labour-fueled political witch hunts. You undermine this racism thing is causing him massive problems at the moment. You instantly give him a lifeline, right? You've got to think about this strategically. You've got to understand how Trump will react, how Farage will react, and how the media will react.
Will you agree that we do need an investigation into Russian interference, though? Whether
only as it's happening.
You're
right
saying
now.
It needs to go from now. What are they doing now to fuck with our democracy?
Exactly. If you did that, right, you could certainly then springboard off the Nathan Gill thing.
Yes.
But what I'm also going to say is, for all we know, this is already happening. Right. So what you're talking about is a parliamentary investigation. That's much more in the public arena.
Right.
That needs to be done by select committee.
But you're saying that the Tories won't do it because
I didn't say the Tories won't do it. No, I didn't say that. I think a lot of Conservatives these days, we know they took a lot of money off the Russians. I think a lot of Conservatives have genuinely now seen Putin as a threat. So I think a lot of Conservatives MPs are right now genuinely of the view that Putin is a threat.
Okay, so let's do this then.
So they will absolutely do that.
How about we meet halfway? We have an investigation now into Russian interference right now, and that is a proper public inquiry.
The threat that it poses to our democracy via interference in parliamentary affairs. You could absolutely do that.
Okay, and then loads of money to the NCA, and you say, go and have a look at this shit.
You can't tell police what to investigate because that's political interference.
Well, how do they tell them not to investigate it?
All they have to do, and this is presumably...
They told MI5 and MI6 specifically not to investigate far-right lunatics.
All you have to do is make it clear that instruction is no longer in place, which it clearly is no longer in place, because we've had these operations.
Cool. Well, let's get some money, give it to the NCA, and we can set some, bright-eyed young, Turks to go and...
You can't tell them to go and investigate a thing.
I know. Just give them loads of money. Just say, hey, here's a load of money.
So they'll investigate whatever they think is the top security issue.
Yeah.
Which won't be something that happened 10 years ago.
Do you not think so?
Of course it's not. It'll be what's happening now.
They've just got Nathan Gill Surely there's someone at the
I'm
the
sure there is.
NCA sitting there going, you know
No.
what, we got that motherfucker. Maybe we could get another one.
No, because what matters is the threat to us right now.
And what if it comes out in this inquiry that there's some kind of connection still between Farage?
That's
and
fine.
Russia?
Then the NCA or the police, whoever takes it up, can independently, free of political interference, chase down those criminal lines of investigation.
I need to. I want to see more of these. Investigations going on.
Arguing for one politician to launch a criminal investigation against another politician.
No, I'm not. Come on.
That is exactly what you're arguing.
I'd
for.
like that to happen as a happy coincidence. You know, you've got to be smart about this. You can't
There's no coincidence.
We are launching an inquiry into Nigel Farage and why he's such a racist twat.
It will only investigate what you tell them to investigate.
Okay. But that's not entirely true, because they didn't investigate Russia or right-wing groups in this country because they were told to concentrate. They were told to concentrate.
That was at that time.
On the Islamic threat, on the Islamic terrorist threat.
Well, I don't know about that, but we now know that's not the case.
I know, but at the time they were told that this is what you got. MI5, MI6.
Yes,
GCHQ,
I know at the time. Yes.
They were all told that. So why can't they do that now and say, here's the money, go and investigate this thing that we want you to look at? Like, what's changed?
Because you cannot. Their job is to investigate the top security threats to the country. They have to be the ones to decide which are the top security threats. You cannot politically.
Why
like
could
this
they
is what
do
Trump
that
is
20
doing.
years ago?
You're arguing in favour of Trump's way of doing things.
No,
the head of government decides what is the top threat.
Well, he brings indictments against people who, you know, no one wants to indict them because it's not legally sound. This is an investigation. It's not a.
Yeah, but the investigations are already taking. The criminal investigations are already taking place. We know that because we've seen them.
Nathan Gill.
There's no block on criminal investigations into Russian interference because we've seen it.
But apart from Nathan Gill, have we had much? Because we had this report that came out today came out yesterday about the Skripal poisonings in Salisbury.
Yeah,
didn't we? And this has come out. It went right up to the top. It went right up to Putin, saying we should do this. But nothing's come out of that about Boris Johnson's actions as Foreign Secretary at the time. The fact he went to a bunga bunga party in the Swiss Alps. No, the Italian Alps.
That's because if he didn't do
afterwards.
anything illegal, then there's nothing for them to investigate. And because he's not a sitting MP anymore, there's nothing for Parliament to investigate.
So if it was the case that they thought he had done something illegal by doing that, you know, possibly
if they had evidence,
top secret military. Well, yeah,
but
pictures
they
of him in
haven't
the
got any
airport
evidence.
the next morning.
They haven't got any evidence.
They know he went to the party.
Yeah, I know they went to the party.
They know he got.
And they know he
slipped
slipped a security detail.
Yeah,
and they're not stupid. They know that a load of Russian agents, including a KGB colonel, got him drunk, and he would talk to them. Yeah. We know that, but you cannot prove it because none of the, I can't imagine that the NCA putting out an appeal to any KGB agents that would like to implicate themselves are going to do so.
Any KGB agents who are at this orgy that our foreign secretary.
We don't know it was an orgy.
It was a sex party. It was a bunga bunga party. It was sex and drugs. It was cocaine and hookers.
I think there was cocaine and alcohol. I think the rest of it is speculation.
No, it was a bunga bunga party. I mean, no one's denied it. No one said it wasn't a bunga bunga party.
Well, no one said it was.
That's the kind of parties they have in the Swiss Alps, isn't it? Sorry, the Italian. Why do I keep saying the Swiss Alps? It's because the Italian Alps don't.
It's the same Alps, just on a different side.
Roll off my tongue. But
same mountain range.
Okay. All right. So, but signing that petition and that petition getting argued in Parliament because it's gonna. I mean, it used to be 100,000 signatures and it had to be debated. Now it's like we will think about debating it, and it might be debated in Westminster Hall. Yeah, they changed it.
Laugh. When did they change that?
They changed it. Have a look. Have a look.
That's a bit shit. I missed that one. That's a bit sly. What's the reason for that? Lazy bastard.
They will consider it for debate.
That's about shit. That. See, they still haven't got back to me about my petition. I think
your petition?
I can't remember now.
Was it for an inquiry into the Russian interference
in
the Brexit referendum by any chance?
No, because they would have dismissed that because there's an existing one. It was something else. I'm pretty sure it's quite important, but I've forgotten what it was now that long ago.
Let's have a look.
It was for an investigation into something. I know I did it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Hang on,
Yes.
find it.
Parliament will consider this for a debate. Parliament considers all petitions that get more than 100,000 signatures for a debate. They consider it. It used to be automatic and it's not anymore. It's because they got lots of stupid petitions.
Well, I know there are. I mean, you could talk about they got
frivolous.
several million for a new election, but
There was one about, I don't know, Nigel Farage having to put a watermelon up his ass or something. I can't remember. The link's in the chat.
That was a good
But
one.
Given,
But that was not.
given
pineapple.
the text
Watermelon
of this...
be anatomically impossible. Pineapple would be painful, but you might be
the text of this is call a public inquiry into Russian interference on UK politics and democracy. There is no time limit there. There's
exactly.
No
But there's also
we are concerned.
That's right now
About reported efforts from Russia to influence democracy in the US, UK, Europe, and elsewhere. We believe it must establish the depth and breadth of possible Russian interference campaigns in the UK, which gives the idea that this might be historical campaigns as well. But if you were in Parliament and this came up for the debate, you would stand up and say, yes, I think we should have this public inquiry, but it should be for what's happening with Russian interference right now.
Oh, I've just had I think I might just have had a thing here. Hold on. Was this it? I had a reply back. I have sometimes tried to create multiple ones, but I have missed this email. Yeah, It got rejected.
What was it?
It was to review the National Security Act 2023. Now, I'm trying to think in what context. That'll have been something to try and clobber Nigel Farage on. But the reason given, it says, sorry, we can't accept your petition, review the National Security Act 2023. It included confidential, libelous, false, unproven, or defamatory information. They don't say which, by the way. Information, accusations of wrongdoing, or a reference to a case where there are active legal proceedings. It might have been the last one. Who knows?
Did you say that you wanted the Parliament to shove a pineapple up Farage's ass?
No, I didn't.
Because that would be funny.
Let me. Oh shit. Hold on. Let me see if I can find my wording. See the page. They've deleted the page now. It doesn't exist. There was a link to it.
While you're looking for that, we've got a super chat in from Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. I've got it.
Hang on, I'll do the super chat first, and you can read that. £10 super chat. Sorry, I'm super late, but behind. But the kind of inquiry Graham wants would be a wedge issue of Farage's dreams. I disagree with that, but
so
still doesn't. It would get you 35%, seeing it as a hit job, and that would galvanise the refuck UK base. I just find it funny that you have an inquiry into Russia and somehow that's a hit job on reform. It's as though those two things are connected
because you want
somehow.
it to be. You have explicitly stated multiple times in this stream that that's what you want it to be.
Maggie Brinkley, thank you very much for the £2.50. Graham and Phil, always so much fun. Thank you. And that also means who triggered the confetti. Woo! Yeah!
I've got
almost Christmas, Phil. It's cool.
I've got it.
You got it. Go on.
This was my petition, right? So now we can try and work out what I fell foul of. Review the National Security Act 2023. So this, I now remember, this related to Nigel Farage, basically trying to get the US Congress to attack Britain, to apply sanctions on Britain over that freedom of speech bollocks. So this is what I wrote. If a British MP, I didn't even name him, if a British MP can implore the US government to take punitive action against the UK in order to pressure our government into changing laws, contrary to the National Security Act 2025, should the government not strengthen the legislation? We know that malign foreign actors have successfully influenced British politics for the worse, and we should be more robust. We should more robustly defend ourselves against these acts of sabotage. So according to them, that was it either included confidential, libelous, false, unproven, or defamatory information. I thought it was quite general. It was purely hypothetical.
If you said if a British parliamentarian does something twatty,
they know what I was talking about, but I thought it was hypothetical. The way I'd written it, I thought I was being cunning. Accusation. So they're cunning enough. Bastard. Every petition I do gets rejected.
Yeah, I did.
I don't do loads.
I did one.
Every single one I do gets rejected.
Banning Twitter, because
I've got a 0% success rate of even getting petitions started.
Far right lunacy, and they said no, we can't bring petitions against private companies. So what you want is one that says we need to have a review on social media in this country and the damage being done by social media just in general. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see an inquiry into all this, and the people's lives who have been ruined by these bastards like Farage. And like I say,
See,
if
something like
if
that
people
would be better.
Yeah, if people get taken, but they're not going to accept that. Do you know what I mean? I think that politically speaking, saying that you want an investigation into a country that's currently at war with our continent, into their interference in politics.
Yeah, but you don't want
How
that.
do you argue against it? It doesn't matter what I want. It's just what you give the title to. It's Russian interference. It's not.
So that's
fine. It's
then.
not an inquiry into Nigel Farage, is it?
They can carry out an investigation.
Racist.
They can carry out an investigation into active Russian interference into UK politics.
Can we do that alongside? If you have an inquiry, does that stop any kind of criminal activity, criminal investigation?
It does actually, yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, that's how Grenfell. Like the one of the criticisms of Grenfell, one of the reasons why we have had no one charged. It's not that we will never get anyone charged. It's because when you've got an inquiry taking place, you can't have a criminal investigation. That's why the police. Yeah, because otherwise you could
screw this inquiry then. Just arrest him. Just arrest him.
Because you're interfering with an investigation. So if the public inquiry is taking place, the police have to sort of sit back.
Do you think someone might go down for that? Because the fire was still raging in Hong Kong last week, and they were arresting people. Here we are, 8 years after Grenfell, and still nothing.
Well, that's because in China they don't really do inquiries. Do you remember that time with the milk doping scandal?
No. When was
that? Baby milk, formula milk, was being cut in with all sorts of shit, and it just basically killed a load of babies. This was when they still had the one-child policy in China. It's going back a few years.
Oh, this is in China. This is not in the UK.
No, this is China.
Oh, sorry. I was like,
what I'm saying is,
scandal.
there was no great investigation there was no great investigation into it. They just put them on trial and executed them. But that was because it was a big public shit show. They killed a load of babies, right? And it's the same thing here. Like the Chinese state's not going to try and cover for people when you've got massive public outcry against it. It's just like they'll throw you under the bus at a drop of a hat. But I didn't include anything. That's bollocks. That I didn't even name anyone. I don't know how I missed the email either.
You didn't do it with malicious intent.
I did do it with malicious intent. I just thought I'd covered my tracks.
Can we talk a little bit about Farage this week and this meltdown?
This shows you how difficult it is to launch even a very general investigation of any kind at all.
Yes.
When they know what you're really after.
Yes. But Farage this week, he's not showered himself in glory. 28 people have come forward now to say that he said racist things in school. He hasn't apologised. He's doubled down. He said that, that was the culture at the time. And he's blaming the BBC now.
He's blaming it on Ottoman, which I'm pretty sure was the 80s, but it might have been the 70s. I don't remember. That wasn't pro-Nazi.
But do you think this is going to actually...
Racist, but it wasn't.
Do you think this is going to lose votes for them? Because I don't think it will,
I actually do, but not yet. So
tell me your theory on this.
So at the moment, I think they'll be fine in the polls now, because the reason Reform UK are doing well in the polls is because their main concern is the cost of living crisis. They think maybe Reform UK shaking things up will help. And at the end of the day, if you feel under threat, the cost of living crisis is putting a lot of people under threat. Do you really care if the Prime Minister might be a bit racist or might have liked Hitler a bit in his youth? So from that point of view, I don't think it'll hurt him yet, but he knows it could hurt him. I think Reform UK's major pitch is Conservatives have failed, Labour are failing, right? Yeah. I think if in a couple of years' time people start to think, well, hang on a minute, things are actually getting a bit better. I mean, obviously that's based on that if. But if people do feel that things are getting better, and actually, maybe this isn't too bad, I think at that point, Reform UK all of a sudden aren't the only game in town. And then I think those accusations of racism become more serious for them. So I do think that this is, I think it could be a serious issue for him. I think he knows that. I mean, he threw Richard Tice under the bus this week over it.
He did. It was funny. But my sort of take on this is that, like, the people who vote for refuck, like, a lot of them are racist anyway. So are they going to care?
That's the base. There was some quite impressive polling on this recently, pointing out the various people that now support Reform UK, and they're really this.
Was that the one with
lots of very different people?
The tired students and the hopeful bullshit. What was it? They were put into separate groups where there were funny names.
There was a number of groups, funny names. They were. It was conducted for Hope Not Hate commissioned it. So but there are different types of these groups. A lot of these groups, they're not racist. It's just that the racism is about someone else, and what they're prioritizing is their own standard of living.
Yeah.
If they can feel that their own standard of living is even going in the right direction at the next election, then I think Reform UK fall away quite a bit. The problem is Labour have to hold themselves together for that interim. And this is now made more difficult. Huh?
The Squeeze Stewards. That was one of the groups. The Squeeze Stewards. Is that not a silly name?
No.
Okay, go on.
You've just got a massive super
chat. Sorry, we're going to have to stop for the massive super chat. First of all, David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 15 Hong Kong dollars. The fire was here in Hong Kong, not in China, not the same. Yeah, it's the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. But yeah, still, the people were arrested straight away, which is the absolute opposite of what's happened with Grenfell. And Tinkinator, thank you so much. I think this is the first ever hyper chat that we've had on this particular show. Tinkinator, thank you so much. I've placed a £100 bet at the bookies with odds of 14-1 that Andy Burnham will be the next Prime Minister after Keir Starmer. What are Phil's thoughts on who could be best placed to replace Starmer? I feel very confident it'll be Burnham, despite him not being an MP at the moment.
Well, you just put 100 quid on it, so I'm guessing so.
Thank you so much, Tinkinator. That is so generous of you. Thank you.
You've effectively put 200 quid on it now. If by best place you mean the one who's most likely to win the leadership election, but not the general election, then yeah, the members can always be relied upon to put the one that's least likely to win in.
Who do you think would be most likely to win the next election if it's not Starmer?
The general election or the leadership election?
General election.
It makes no difference because whoever's the best person to win the next general election will not actually replace Starmer.
Yeah, but if you could pick anyone.
the one that if it goes to the members, it will. Andy Burnham probably stands a good chance. He may not even be the worst choice, as much as I dislike his snakery. But then politicians are snakes, whatever. If he can't do that, or he doesn't do that, or for whatever reason it becomes difficult, the members are probably more likely to back Angela Rayner. That I think that's hideously risky. But she'd be the most likely. I mean, we know from polling. Polling of members is quite difficult.
I just want to know who you could pick. Anyone in Labour right now, anyone an MP or mayor in Labour, who would you pick to replace Starmer if you had to gun to a head?
See, I want to ask questions because the thing is, you don't know what you're going to get from any of them right now. You don't know anything because all of the credible choices at the moment, they're towing Starmer's line because that's what you do. So you don't actually know what they would propose to do differently or the same. What I would say is what I would prioritise, because you will not deal with the cost of living crisis if you collapse the economy or even do anything that allows the media to claim you've collapsed the economy. The worry for me is not replacing Starmer, but what would happen with who would they bring in as Chancellor? That's what I would want to know, because I would actually favour someone who sticks to Rachel Reeves. Because at the end of the day, if you first of all, what this
she lied, Phil. She should leave. She should leave the job. Why won't you leave the job? I'm going to ask all 6 questions. Why won't you leave your job? Why don't you stop making YouTube videos? I'm going to give you 6. I've got 6 questions, Phil, and they're all going to be, why don't you stop doing what you do to make money? Yeah. that was PMQs this week. I mean, pretty
much. Well, she asked 2 questions, and each one was 3 times. It was quite, and it's not even like she was getting. I can understand it if you're getting some major traction on it, but they were all variations of Kemi Badenoch. They were all variations of, I think we should have more children in poverty. To which, because that's what Starmer turned it into. Every single response, like particularly after she was stopped moaning about Reeves, his responses were basically, child poverty is not very good, Kemi. And it was just so easy for him. The review's out today, the strategic review for child poverty. It would have been a very bad review if they hadn't cancelled the 2-child cap. I'll tell you that much reading through it.
Yeah. Well, they had to do it. They had to do it.
They had to do
even
it.
though not politically a great thing to do.
Well, at the end of the day, he's swung into it. It's like, I mean, I was thinking maybe Badenoch decided to ask. I didn't blame her asking a question about it because she will know from polling. The two-child cap was quite a popular policy even amongst Labour voters, so she might have thought, I can put him on the spot here.
Yeah.
As soon as, because he wasn't awkward about it. He was just like, we're going to be raising like 500,000 kids out of poverty here.
Yeah.
He turned it into. She wanted it to be a question about spending taxpayer money. He turned it into a question of not having kids in poverty, which is, it's one of those things that the public, although they approve of the two-child cap, they don't approve of child poverty. So you just turn it into that. And it was so easy for him. She should have stopped. She was behind.
So we got a message from Cymru saying, I'm going to try and say this. Siwmai pawb a caid fo Gymru. Have I said that right? Is that awful?
No, no chance.
Was that really bad?
Apparently, Welsh is one of those languages where even if you try and sort of pronounce things reasonably well,
if you're not born in Wales, there are certain words,
or if you're not introduced to the language from really very young,
there are certain sounds that you just can't make if they're not one of the first sounds you learn growing up. But anyway, thank you. And also, it was pointed out that £100 super chat does deserve confetti, so I will release the confetti cannon again. Thank you very much, Tinkanator, for the 100 quid. That is so kind. And Liam says, I think he knows Nick was politically tired. About that. No, something that Femi said on the video last week, and he said about Rachel Reeves taking off the two-child benefit cap. And he was like, this was she only did this because it was politically expedient. And I was thinking, no, it's not. Like, maybe in terms of the MPs in Labour.
Well, it was. Right, we know. So at the point at which the election was happening, and Stan was being asked about the two-child cap, he did express a desire to get rid of it, but he also said it wouldn't happen early on because we'll do it when it's economically viable. We know. So what happened? The sequence of events was this: you had that rebellion on the PIP thing, right? At that point, Starmer realizes his MPs will actually vote against him.
Yeah,
because he lost, right? He lost the vote. So at that point, he knows he cannot treat his majority as I can do whatever I think best, right?
Yeah.
We then got reports, what we now are definitely credible reports, that he, at that point, remember at this point, like Rachel Reeves is having a right fucking time. She's crying in House of Commons, basically because her budget plans are up in smoke. Because she's now got to find billions of pounds extra, and then to load it all on down. Because remember, there was a bit of a wobble in the markets because they're thinking, because the media were trying to say, that's it, Stan will be sacking it. Absolute nonsense. The real reason was because she knew she was going to have to find billions of extra pounds, but also Downing Street was saying, right, we've lost the MPs here. We need to get rid of this two-child cap really quite quickly. So the fact that it will have been announced in this budget this week, I think, is very likely because they messed up with their MPs. However, I will also just point this out. This child poverty review would have been an absolute joke if it hadn't had the two-child cap lifted, because the review claims that their measures collectively will raise about 550,000 children out of poverty by the next election. Now, about 450,000 of them, it's just down to the two-child cap being removed. Yeah. So imagine if they hadn't removed the cap, that review presumably would just have everything else in it saying, we're going to raise 100,000 kids out of poverty, at which point everyone would go, you could raise 450,000 with one policy. Why aren't you missing that out? Do you know what I mean? It'd look ridiculous.
Yeah, true.
So it is also possible they would have removed it at this point anyway.
Well, that's what they said in the manifesto. And this is kind of annoying me that the people kept saying, but they got rid of Labour MPs. They sacked these MPs. No, they didn't. They suspended them for voting for an SNP amendment, which is exactly what the SNP would have done if the SNP put something forward on a 3-line whip in the Scottish Parliament, and the Labour and a bunch of them voted with Labour. They would have done exactly the same thing. They would have suspended them. It might have been for a week. It might have been for 6 months. It might be whatever, but that's party discipline. If you don't want to be part of the party, don't be part of the party. Anyway, before we go, I just want to say a big thank you to Conwy for the correct pronunciation. It's Siwmai pawb a Gariad, Vower, or Gumri. So there you go. You're close, but no
Do you
cigar.
even know what he's saying?
Well, no, because Welsh is, it's phonetic, as Cymru says, but the vowel sounds throw people. So even though it's spelt Llandudno, it's pronounced Llandudno. It's pronounced Llandudno. Because like they say in all these movies, when the baddie confronts the goodie and says, "We're not so different, you and I," and I'm sitting there going, "Yeah," especially in Welsh, because the U's pronounced as an I. Kind of. Okay, forget it. So Cumry says the effort is appreciated. What's your and Phil's thoughts on the safeguarding of Cornish/Gaelic? Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely all for that. I don't see why there should be any debate on that. But then again, that's like how I feel about giving stuff back from the British Museum. I don't even know why there's a debate on this. It's just no, give it back. Make a copy, give it back.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Phil?
My views on that are you do need to protect your own indigenous languages. So I do support it. But at the same time, there's always that thing in the back of my head that says, but if everyone around, it never happens, that's why you might as well just protect them. But there's also sort of in the back of my head thinking, but if everyone in the world just spoke the same language, we'd get on a lot better as well.
Well, Tower of Babel, yeah. That was when everyone spoke the same language, wasn't it, Phil? And then God saw it and went, oh shit, if they all speak in the same language, then nothing they plan will be impossible for them.
Yeah,
so he's changed all the languages. So we had a breakdown of communication,
sure
and wars ensued.
I don't think that's real.
I got a standing ovation for that one, Phil. Better when it's phonetically spelt out for me. For effort and representation. Thank you very much, Cymru. That's very kind of you. Always happy to go to Wales. Right, okay, Phil, we're going to call it at what time is it? 8 minutes past.
I can't go to North Wales anymore.
Why not?
Because I used to love going to North Wales on holiday.
You don't like going anywhere.
But my wife is shit scared in cars to do with her OCD.
Okay.
So the idea of driving up one of those steep Welsh North Welsh roads, where there's a sheer drop to your left, which is exactly where her face would be, is non-starter.
Okay.
I nearly cried when I got lost in the woods. But
you can take a motorway all the way to Conway. Pretty much.
But once you get into North Wales, the roads.
You don't want to be going up Snowdon,
yeah,
which isn't called Snowdon anymore. It's called Windvale? No, something like that. I've forgotten. Anyway, why do hangnails hurt like motherfucker on steroids? I don't know, Chris. And someone wanted to know if you knew about the hostages in my basement who keep banging. Can you hear the banging, Phil?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear it? Okay. There's people banging.
Drowned out by the hostages in mine, maybe.
Anyway, Phil, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. A lively debate, as always. Thank you. And thanks to everyone in the chat, and thanks to everyone who stayed respectful. There were a couple of people who weren't being respectful, and thankfully our moderators got rid of them, and I got rid of one. It's fine to be on, when we're having a debate, be on Team Graham or Team Phil. That's absolutely fine. But don't be disrespectful and don't call us names, okay? And that goes for either of us. Okay, I'll be back at 9:30 tonight with another Friday Night Social. You coming to join us on the Friday Night Social, Phil? Come on. You know you want to. Go on. I'm
to read this. I want to ask them what it specifically fell foul of, because I don't believe them.
Okay, you sort out your petition.
It wasn't libelous. I didn't name anyone. I could be libelous.
Make a petition about your petition.
It's not false, because although I didn't name anyone, we all know what it was about. It was on telly. It's not unproven. There's television records.
Well, good luck with
defamatory.
It. Yeah.
And what do you mean libelous or defamatory? That's one. If you put defamatory, you don't need libelous as well, do you? Accusations of wrongdoing, because there was wrongdoing, but I didn't accuse anyone. Reference.
It's not slander. This is written. It's libel.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe Nigel Farage is under active legal proceedings. Maybe they know something we don't.
Ooh, maybe you've uncovered something. That'd be cool. Anyway, come in. Listen, if you're watching, please give us a like before you go. We really appreciate that. And half the people watching this are not subscribed. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and hit the bell notification icon in order to find out when we're doing shows. Like I say, 9:30 tonight. Hope to see you there. If not, have a great weekend. Thanks for all the chat. Thanks for all the super chats. Really can. Especially Tinkanator with that amazing hyper chat there. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.